So before we go, there are two questions we need to answer. Well, exactly three. How do we calculate the time of flight? How do we determine the maximum horizontal distance from where the projectile was launched? And secondly, how do we determine the velocity just before collision? So in this lesson, we will explore these three questions. Now, that is easy to see if you can realize that when the ball or the projectile hits the ground, obviously y is 0 because this is the origin, if you can see that. So if y is equal to 0 when projectile hits the ground, this would mean that h minus 1/2 g t squared is equal to 0, which will mean that h is equal to 1/2 g t squared, and therefore if we simplify, t will be equal to the square root of 2h over g. This right here, my dear friends, is the time of flight. In other words, it is the time it will take the projectile to leave from this point to this point. Now we need to calculate the horizontal range. The horizontal range r is the maximum horizontal distance. So r is equal to x max, which is just going to be v naught multiplied by t max, where t max in this case is the time of flight. So this is just going to be equal to v naught, the square root of 2h, all divided by g. This right here gives us the horizontal range. Sometimes you will be required to write down the equation of motion of the projectile. A fancy word for that expression is what we call the projectile path. The equation of motion of a projectile is usually y expressed as a function of x. Let me say that, fellas. The equation of motion, or the trajectory of the projectile path, is the equation that expresses y as a function of what? X. And that can be fun to see because we know that x is equal to v naught t. This would mean that t is equal to x divided by v naught. And if this is true, that would mean that we can take this expression for t and substitute that expression here to express y as a function of x. And if we do so, we will have y equal to h minus 1/2 g x over v naught all squared. Therefore, y will be equal to h minus g over 2v naught squared x squared. This is the equation of motion of the projectile path. So right here we've actually described both conceptually, graphically, and mathematically the projection of a particle horizontally. Thank you so much. If you have any questions or need clarification for anything, please ask in the discussion forum. Thank you.